Good morning, Mr. Chair, Mr. Walker.
Good morning.
So thanks. I asked to have this added to the general discussion as basically a chance for the board to pick up where it left off regarding marijuana issues and to update you on some of the inquiries that's been coming into the county office, principally through planning, and to just kind of give you a chance to talk about this issue and provide us with some guidance if you should be so inclined. I was thinking, to give you a little perspective, I would just read you a couple of redacted emails that are coming from citizens to give you a sense of the kind of questions people are asking, and give you just a notion of what people are wondering and what we're wondering too. So here's one that came in. This is from a citizen that I actually know. I won't impart his name. This is redacted, like I said, but and he says this. He says, "I have a few questions." Just came in July 29th. To planning. I have a few questions regarding where a dispensary can be located. I know that the city will not allow them, and I was told that Jackson County will not be allowing them to be directly off of I-5. Is Josephine County going to allow them off of Interstate 5? How far out of the city limits do I have to be? Will you be making it a $1,000 buffer zone between shops, or will you be making it the half mile that Jackson County has passed? Any information would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. And then Mr. Black replied, in essence, he says, to date, Josephine County has not developed any specific restrictions on dispensaries. And he says, so I don't have answers to your questions, at least the county development's restrictions. And then he says, I can tell you that from a zoning point of view, it appears rural commercial zones will be the only place in which a dispensary may be placed. Of course, the location will be subject to state restrictions, 1,000 feet from schools, etc. Farm, forest, residential, aggregate, serpentine, industrial zones do not allow such use. Here's another example of an email that came in from a citizen that says, she says, "Hi Wally, thank you for your time this morning. To recap, we are looking for a cannabis location to have a closed-loop dispensary, meaning not open to the public. We need this in the OMMP program for compliance. Also, we manufacture cannabis oil for the dispensaries in the state. We will bring 35 to 50 jobs to your area with our company location, not to mention local ancillary businesses. I'm on the OLCC advisory board and have been working politically with the Oregon Growers Association for the state of Oregon." And then she says, "The property is zoned rural commercial. I have an offer in and have 3 weeks for due diligence. I would love to move to Josephine County if I can get the okay from the county. Please let me know what you think, and again, thanks for your help." And so this is the kind of thing that citizens have been asking us directly. And to be blunt, we don't have any answers. And so I can provide you with these. Okay, get the idea.
If you give me a copy, send them later.
Okay, happy to.
There was this other example too. Here we have an actual file here because somebody's paid a fee for land use compatibility statement here. They've got an RR5 zone. And they want to know whether or not they can grow cannabis on part of their property. And what we've tried to let them know is that yeah, we can take your money and we can give you a ruling here, but this is not the land use compatibility statement that OLCC will be requiring. They haven't even developed the form. They haven't started their process. And so we're in this kind of situation of, well, do we take people's money and give them a statement just simply with the disclaimer that you may be doing this again in 6, 8 months, whatever it is. And from our perspective, we would probably be giving the same answer. So if it gives them some degree of comfort that they are going to get the same answer whenever OLCC develops their process, I guess that has some value to it. But and then. Robert Rice is frequently dealing with issues on electric service.
You probably saw that.
People, requesting 300 amp service to a vacant piece of property, and it is clearly because people intend to have a grow operation going on there, and so. your two frontline departments are already being questioned about what can we do and all that. So those are just some.
So the electrical service is going to vacant property, so they haven't even applied for any kind of facility in that property.
Right. And Robert's drafted a policy extracted from some past policies, and I think he's given to us to take a look at so that we coordinate, and I forwarded it to Wally so that he was aware of what was going on, but obviously it's going to have to come to the board. The board's going to have to make policy as to, well, what do you want to do on this thing here?
Well, the big red flag that went up to me is the rural residential. In my view, no way. I mean, that was one of the complaints we've had over the last couple of years, is people calling in and say, I have a rural residential 5 acres. Yeah. We built our, lovely home here to retire, and then on both sides of us, rural residential, people just planting marijuana, and it's supposed to be a rural residential. It's no longer a farm. Maybe it was farm at one time, maybe it was forest at one time, but now it's residential. Not supposed to be a commercial grow.
There's a fair amount of communication going on between county planning directors. They were engaged with the AOC lobbyists, in the process of HB 3400, but clearly that didn't answer everything. But I can share some of that information with you. Is what county planning directors are talking about, and they're 3400 answered a number of things, but it left a number of things unanswered, and specifically, some of the planning directors in counties lobbied for leaving certain things unanswered so that it could be solved at the local level, that you would have that discretion to go ahead and say, okay, you said we've got to allow grows in farm and forest, but in these non-resource zones, you still have some flexibility as to say what you can or can't do. So those are
providing that if there is a policy developed locally, that then the state does not come in and say, no, we're going to do this different. And to me, that's the big aggravation, because there is no clear, definitive standard of what is ours, what is theirs, who is regulating what 1,000 feet of schools. Okay, that's a standard. Whether I agree with it or not, that's a standard. What are the standards for these other items, these other issues? And that does not seem to be a standard. It seems to be in flux. And as soon as then you start to kind of come up with some local standard, then you find out, no, that needs to be tweaked and looked at in this way now. And so that's sort of your hands and you say, forget this.
Well, what I am thinking about this and reading it over repeatedly is that if we can stick as close as possible to the state standard, which is it can be grown in farm and forest. They didn't provide for rural residential. And the complaints I have been from people living in rural residential. They got 48 pot plants next door, and the other side has 24, and I'm trapped in the middle, and this is supposed to be a residence. So to me, that is just something that we should not allow in rural residential. That is just, those people have an expectation when they bought it to have a rural residence. It's not a farm, certainly not a marijuana farm in their mind when they bought it. So I think in sticking with you can grow it in your farm and forest. That's where agricultural crops are typically grown, farm and forest zones, and it's an agricultural crop now.
Yes.
So that you can do that. When it comes to the commercial businesses, whether it's a dispensary for retail, wholesale type of business in the county, we have rural industrial and rural commercial zones. And I think that, the state doesn't allow farm stands for marijuana, so I don't think we should either. I think we should keep it in industrial and commercial zones. We have those throughout the county, in all parts of the county, and that's where they should be limited, so that somebody's not selling it out of their back porch or trying to sell it out of a farm stand in the backyard or the garage or whatever, or trying to come in and convince dentists that they've got this, retail thing that they want to do out there, and it's not an industrial or commercial zone. I think that, to me, when you're talking about an enterprise, I mean, would we allow somebody to come in that says, yeah, we're going to put a farm stand out here, and we're going to be selling all of our farm crops, but also we're going to be selling something else. So then you've got a retail trade going on the side of a road on somebody's residential property. We wouldn't do that for anybody else, whether it's marijuana or something else. Now, farm stands are allowed, but the state has said no farm stands. So, we will just, in my view, just stick with that. No farm stands for marijuana, and I mean, I'm giving my opinion here, but that if it's an industrial or commercial, that's okay. That way, it keeps it in line with what the state has already said, and if they change it along the way, if we're already kind of sticking with it, we can make adjustments if they do easier than if we go out there and say, oh yeah, you can put your marijuana shop out here, and never mind that it's zoned for something else. And rather than rural industrial or rural commercial. So.
Well, how we could address this is what Robert is developing is policy, and I think board can affirm that policy. But some of what you're talking about is actually changing the land use regulations, so we're going to have to do that by ordinance. It's not too soon to start generating some. It's like the one thing was questioning about separation on dispensaries. Okay, the guidance from state is at 1,000 feet from schools, and they fairly well define what qualifies as a school. But they didn't address in state regulation separation between dispensaries. In other words, can you have one? A whole row of dispensaries. Other jurisdictions, like Jackson County, is saying, well, you have to be a half mile separated from dispensaries. Is there anything magic about